Hello compadres and welcome back to the channel. Today we're traveling all the way back to the 1970s to play the jousting system featured in Chainmail, the classic medieval miniature wargaming rules developed by Jeff Perren and Gary Gygax. I purchased this very copy of Chainmail from TSR mail order way back in the early 1980s. I believe this is the third edition of the rules, fifth printing, so in its day, back in the snail mail newsletter era, Chainmail was really quite popular. And here's the famous Chainmail Fantasy Supplement, a Gary Gygax addition to the original historical rules written by Jeff Perren, which would of course be one of the major creative stepping stones that led to the eventual development of Dungeons & Dragons. Now, early printed copies of Chainmail are kind of collector's items these days, but if you're interested in this influential piece of gaming history, you can purchase a Chainmail PDF for about $5 over a Wargame Vault, so not expensive at all. I will leave a link in the video description below, just in case. Also, I highly recommend the Chainmail 50th anniversary video featured on the Legends of Wargaming YouTube channel. It's filled with all sorts of great tidbits about Elastalin toy soldiers, the Siege of Bodenberg wargame, the origins of Gen Con, the 6x10 sand table in Gary's basement, and just a lot of really interesting history about the people, groups, and games from that era of tabletop gaming. Another thing they mentioned in that video is that they've been holding Chainmail jousting tournaments at GaryCon for a number of years. So if you're attending this year's event in Lake Geneva, you can check that out in the Legends of Wargaming room. Okay, as you can see, Lynn and I have set up our own little jousting tournament here on our Texas Hold'em table. The Chainmail jousting rules themselves are rather straightforward. Each jouster selects an aiming point for his attack and then a position in the saddle representing his defense, though depending on where you aim, that may limit what defensive positions you can take. The attack and defense positions for each competitor are then compared on the all-powerful Chainmail jousting matrix, which determines the outcome of each pass. We're going to say that once a rider is unhorsed or injured, he's out of the tournament, and if neither competitor is unhorsed or injured after 3 passes, then we'll look at any victory points deducted or accrued by the breaking of lances or the unhelming of helms. Alright, please stand by for a brief dramatic introduction, after which Lynn and I will play a few rounds of jousting that's featured in the classic Chainmail rules for medieval miniatures written by Perren and Gygax.
Welcome to the tiny but proud kingdom of Smallberry, which has been ruled by the beloved King Muttonchops for the last 27 years. Sadly, the king recently succumbed to a severe case of bottle flu, and since His Majesty died without designating a royal heir, Smallberry finds itself on the brink of civil war as rival factions vie for the throne. To avoid this catastrophe, the Smallberry Council of Elders has declared that the matter of royal succession will be decided at a grand jousting tournament, where champions from each faction will compete on the field of honor, and the ultimate winner will be declared High King of Smallberry.
Okay, Lynn, here we are. It's the great tournament, and are you ready to represent the hand of God and help determine the next king of Smallberry?
Yes.
Yes. So the first 2 competitors, who shall they be? Let's do Lord Wilkin the Wanderer and Sir Callus the Cruel. How's that?
Sounds good.
So here's Sir Callus the Cruel and Lord Wilkin the Wanderer. We have each picked an attacking point and a defensive stance, and now we're ready to joust. So Sir Callus the Cruel is aiming at the helm, and he has his shield high. And then for Lord Wilkin, where is he aiming?
SC, and he's got a steady seat.
Okay. So he's aiming up to sort of the upper right-hand part of the shield. So we'll start with Lord Callus the Cruel. He's aiming at the helm, and steady seat is helm knocked off. So he knocked off the helm of Lord Wilkin the Wanderer.
Okay.
And then Lord Wilkin was aiming at SC, and shield high is G, glances off. So Sir Callus the Cruel knocked the helm off Lord Wilkin the Wanderer, and Lord Wilkin the Wanderer glances off the shield of Sir Callus the Cruel. Now, unfortunately for Lord Wilkin the Wanderer, because his helm is knocked off, he's going to have to take a steady seat in the next pass, so Sir Callus the Cruel knows exactly where he's going to be defensively. All right, time for the next pass.
Dun, 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 dun.
They broke the fence. Okay, so where did Lord Wilkin the Wanderer, where did he aim?
Aiming point was CP.
CP. And the defensive position for Sir Callus the Cruel was lean left. So that is G, glances off. So the strike from Lord Wilkin glances off the shield of Sir Callus the Cruel. And Sir Callus did FP, which is kind of hitting right in the center. And unfortunately, Lord Wilkin has to be in steady seat. So two things happen. Sir Callus, his lance breaks, and poor Lord Wilkin is unhorsed. So that is the end of the joust. And it was sort of a humiliating exchange. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. Sir Callus the Cruel moves up. And Lord Wilkin the Wanderer continues his wandering. The next two competitors are Sir Percival the Chaste and the Marquis of Grimwood.
Da-da-da, dun-da-dun, dun-da-dun.
Okay, Sir Percival the Chaste. He aimed at SC, which is kind of the upper right part of the shield, and his defensive position was shield high.
The Marquis of Grimwood attacked the helm, and he was with a steady seat.
So the Marquis of Grimwood attacked the helm. Sir Percival was shield high, so he is unhorsed, unfortunately. So Percival is knocked from the saddle. So he aimed at SC, which is kind of the upper right part of the shield, and the Marquis's defensive stance
Was steady seat, which is glances off.
glances off. So Sir Percival's lance glances off the shield of the Marquis, and Sir Percival is removed from the tournament. Oh, the shame for Sir Percival the Chaste. Now, the unfortunate result of this is the two lawful good guys got eliminated, and we have a Dark Elf and a Chaos Lord vying for the throne of Smallberry. So, woe unto the people of Smallberry. All right, it is the battle of the black-hearted villains to see who's going to control the throne of Smallberry. It's not going to become a dominion of evil no matter who wins. It's just what flavor of evil is it going to be? Sir Callus the Cruel versus the Marquis of Grimwood. And here they go.
Dun-da-dun, dun-da-dun.
Smash. The fence falls over. Sir Callus the Cruel is aiming toward the center of the shield, actually, FP.
FP, all right. The Marquis of Grimwood has a steady seat, so he is unhorsed. But Sir Callus the Cruel breaks his lance.
So there's a massive collision. Sir Callus breaks his lance. The Marquis is unhorsed. So the Marquis was aiming at the base of the shield. Sir Callus was leaning right, and so it glances off. So that means Sir Callus has won the tournament and the crown of Smallberry.
I would have laughed if he leaned left and they were both unhorsed.
That would have been funny. Then they would have just had to pick a citizen to be the king.
That would have been better for Smallberry.
So that's probably the plot of a pretty good fantasy novel. There's a big tournament to determine who's going to be the king. The two evil competitors are in the top tier. They both unhorse each other. And so then the Council of Elders draws lots to determine which peasant becomes king. Of course, then the peasant would have provoked the ire of Sir Callus the Cruel and the Marquis of Grimwood. But that would be the main conflict. So he's the peasant king, but he has some adversaries he's got to deal with. Perhaps Sir Percival and Lord Wilkin the Wanderer would return to assist him. But it didn't happen that way, so no peasant king. Instead, we get this guy, and there's going to be a new regime and some new doctrines, I'm sure. All right, folks, I guess that's a wrap on today's trip down Tabletop Memory Lane. We'd like to go to Lake Geneva some year. Maybe we can make it, but if you happen to be going to GaryCon, maybe stop by the Legends of Wargaming room and check out some Chainmail Joust. Thanks very much as always for stopping by. I hope 2024 is treating you well so far. We will be back soon with some more tabletop wargaming weirdness. But until then, take care of yourselves. Try to sneak in a game if you can. And we'll catch you next time.